family, you no longer have to wait for Mr. Right to come along. Who needs him? A growing trend has single women becoming single moms by choice. And here to tell us what's up down there is our resident OBGYN doctor, Lauren Streicher. And I will never sister laugh. I'll laugh every time I have to say that.
What's up down there?
What's up down there?
Well, single women becoming moms, does that mean I'm going to become a mom now, Dr. Streicher?
Well, it so happens I brought with an insemination catheter here.
Stop, she did
ready.
not.
Oh my God, I'll meet you in the back.
So if there's something you'd like to tell us, we can talk later.
Wow. Where is this sperm going? To my throat? I mean, look at this thing. Look at this.
Well, we'll get to that later.
Okay, sorry, that was too much. Nobody thought that was funny.
Let's back it up a little bit.
Back it up, back it up.
So is this common now?
You know what? It's becoming more and more common. We know that about 35% of babies that are born to single women. And this number has continued to go up, but teen pregnancy has gone down. So what that means is that more of these single moms are women who are intending to become pregnant because they're not waiting for Mr. Right anymore.
Wow. And it's probably a little bit more difficult for them too at that age, but we won't even go there. Let's talk about the process first. How do you do it? Where do you go? Where do you start?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to decide where you're going to get the sperm. You know, because before you get the sperm to the right place, you have to decide where is the sperm coming from. So there are a lot of choices: a known donor, an anonymous donor. If you decide to go with a known versus an anonymous, and if you decide to go with sex versus insemination, that's going to change how you go about the whole process.
Okay.
Before the show, we were talking about that movie, The Big Chill, and where we saw one character decide, I want a baby, I want it to be you, and just, so is that happening a lot?
We don't know how often it happens because we don't really keep track of those numbers.
Right.
But one of the big things, of course, one of the advantages of having sex as opposed to insemination is sex
that's fun.
Well, not always, because it might not be with someone you really want to have that fun with. And so if you're looking at advantages, the obvious advantage of having sex rather than insemination is that it's free. Unless, of course, you count the wine, the dinner, and all that kind of stuff, but it's free. The negative, of course,
I don't know how that works.
Well, but then there's the potential ick factor of someone that you don't really want to have sex with. You just are looking for a father for your baby. But I think what more and more women realize is that there are medical and legal implications to just using a friend, if you will. So more and more women are going the insemination route and are going to sperm banks and using anonymous donors. And those numbers are going up and up and up.
I want to know more about that. Yeah. I want to know how much it costs. Where do you go? What are my choices? I don't know.
How many sperms are out there?
There's a lot of sperm out there, and you want it to be good sperm. And that's what, no, you do. You want it to be good sperm.
Good sperm?
Well, there's two things. First of all, you want the good swimmers. You want the good count. You know, when you get married, it's not like you interview a man and say, I want to see a semen analysis first. So you kind of take what you get. But if you're paying for sperm, then you deserve to get the best. Right. So not only are you getting sperm that you know has a high count, that they're good swimmers, that they're normal sperm, but that's also being screened for STDs, for genetics. You get a lot of choices out there, and when you're paying for it, you get to pick a lot of those things that are important.
Are you telling me that women have choices to pick the super special sperm and the less special sperm?
Well, yeah, it's like everything else in life. You get what you pay for. And if you get your standard rock bottom price sperm, you know, $200–300 a specimen, you have to go to an accredited sperm bank. That's very important. On the website, we're going to give information about finding an accredited sperm bank so that you know it's been tested against STDs. You know this person has been genetically screened. You know that these are good swimmers. And they're going to tell you the basics, the ethnic background, the height, all that kind of stuff. But depending on what you're willing to pay for, you can get SAT scores. You can find out. You can have handwriting analysis. Where you can hear you can see a baby picture. You can hear their voice. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And these sperm banks keep coming up with more and more information that they sell for women who want to know exactly what they're getting.
What about that story that we saw not too long ago about this one particular sperm donor, number 662, whatever his number was, and there's several kids by this, and they're thinking about retiring the rest of his sperm, and then the question is, what happens if later in life those siblings meet?
I've always thought that would be a bad sitcom, you know, when two siblings meet and then they end up that they're siblings. That's one of the reasons you go to an accredited sperm bank, because they are going to very carefully keep track of pregnancies, and they calculate per population how many pregnancies a donor can have, that it's not going to end up that the two siblings meet and it ends up happening. So while it's not out of the realm of possibility, it really is not a common occurrence.
All right, well, let's get to the logistics.
Okay.
What do you and how do you...
All right, these are the logistics. Basically, once you've picked your sperm bank, you've gone through the catalog, you've picked the guy, they FedEx the sperm in my office, we are lucky enough to have a sperm lab in the building. So they FedEx the sperm to the sperm lab where it is frozen and remains frozen until the woman ovulates. And of course, we track this whole thing very carefully because you want to get the sperm in the right place at the right time. You don't want to waste sperm. So when she comes into the office, and sometimes we do an ovulation predictor kit or an ultrasound, and we say tomorrow's the day. So they call upstairs to the sperm lab and they say thought tomorrow 9 o'clock. So no, I mean, this is
ice cubes full of sperm.
So what happens is the sperm lab prepares the sperm. They get rid of all the bad stuff and the extra stuff, and you see that little syringe there. That's pretty much what it looks like. So the woman goes to the sperm bank. They put her little syringe in a white envelope. She comes down holding that white envelope. We say, do not put that white envelope down under any circumstances, because on Saturdays we are inseminating a lot of people. And they come in, and actually once they get into the exam room, we attach it to that little catheter there. We put a speculum in, just like when you're having a pap smear. We thread that little catheter through the cervix, squirt it directly into the uterus. She doesn't feel a thing. And then we do the hocus pocus, turn upside down, think fertile thoughts.
And what's the success rate, doctor?
Depends on the age. Because if you look, if we were inseminating 20-year-olds, which we're not, it would be very successful. But many of these women are women who've waited for Mr. Right, and their time clocks are ticking pretty loud. So if you're inseminating someone who's in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, with age, the success rate's going to go down. And when you're talking about costs, and that's what I always point out to women, it might not sound like a lot to spend $400 a month for sperm, but if it takes you a year to get pregnant, it gets pretty expensive.
Well, thank you, doctor. That's such good information. I really appreciate it. And if you want to find more information about this topic, which I'm sure you do, visit our website. We have a bunch of links and useful information on artificial insemination. And speaking of babies, up next we're showing you what Hollywood's A-list